Juan-o's world.
My baby mama trippin', she been going through my phone. Tired of me cheating, I can't leave these hoes alone. Hella pics, hella tips on my cash app. It's like, hold up a minute.
Okay, brother.
What up, though, Reg? How you living, man?
Man, respect. Thank me for having you on your show, man. Really,
Man, oh, my bad.
No, I said I really appreciate it. You having me on your show, brother. Especially since we both had the same. Obviously, our ancestors had the same slave owners or some shit back in the day.
It might be closer than that.
Yeah, you can't be a bad dude. Your last name right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I love it when they call me Mr. Right.
Mr. Right, yeah. When they call me Mr. Wrong, but it's all good. Tupac Shakur used to call my security company Wrong Way Security.
Was Tupac a funny dude?
Tupac was cool, but he was serious, and so he was kind of, you got to catch him on whichever day. You didn't know what you were gonna get, but he was a worker. One thing you're gonna get from him, as a young man, you're gonna be like, dude, where did he get that drive to work? Every time I seen him, he was a fast walker, walked like Mr. Jefferson, real fast, and but he always just his mind. It was like his mind was always going.
You know what I was wondering? When you heard he was coming to DeathRow, or when you saw them coming around and they reached out to the company, what did you think about all that?
I wasn't a hip hop head like that. I mean, of course, you knew who Tupac was. You had to be under a rock if you didn't know Dear Mama and So Many Tears and I Get Around and him kissing Janet Jackson in Poetic Justice, and of course Juice and all of that. So, because we all was crazy about Janet back in the day, so that was a big part for him. But so I'm saying all of that just to say you knew who he was, but I was around Snoop as well and Dr. Dre, who, in my opinion, Dre and Snoop were definitely Snoop was bigger than Tupac at the time. So I wasn't starstruck. That's kind of what I try to sold my security company against guys that was like the groupies. That's why you didn't start seeing me in pictures until later. Because I used to think security shouldn't be in pictures and people that take pictures. Man, I did a segment recently where I went looking for pictures, and I think the first picture I took with another man on purposely was about 2015, and that was my daddy and my son.
I don't have that many pictures either.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, for other reasons. But you was a cop. Before you even get to somebody having drugs in their car, it's 3-4 things you done found that was wrong that you taking them for anyway.
Correct. Yeah.
I survived in the street until this snitching shit got out of hand, or people getting in trouble for doing other stuff and then being able to pull another case in. Till that shit got out of hand, I survived real good in the streets off just them principles alone.
Exactly. So you more of a keep to yourself type guy. You ain't gonna let everybody do. You ain't gonna let nobody else pull you under the stuff. Gotcha.
Look, I had a crew that didn't know where I lived or what was going on. Didn't know when the shit was showing up or none of that. I would show up occasionally and they didn't know if I had something or didn't.
Or didn't. Gotcha.
Yeah, everybody.
You didn't let your right hand know what your left hand was doing. Gotcha.
Never.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Never. I had to indoctrinate myself. It was my job. Same way with
Yeah.
Man, so back to the what do you think about all this stuff that's going on right now? Speaking of that,
you talking about Big U and them situation?
Yeah, because it looked like to me at the very least he knew his phone was tapped, and he still kept talking to people, bringing people in, making it a bigger situation.
Well, what happens is when you keep getting away with stuff for so long, you got to remember that this stuff has been going on since 2021, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's been hearing things. He got picked up and brought in where they did some DNA sampling for him about a year ago. And so all of this, people think, oh, so when stuff happened, didn't you be on your P's and Q's? But then they let you get comfortable. And I think what happened is they all got comfortable. And when they got comfortable, they let their guards down. Because there was probably a time when they were like, don't probably threw those phones down. But then you get comfortable. And that's what the feds want. That's what law enforcement want. They want you just to get comfortable. And then that's when they come in and swoop you up.
It seemed like he was beyond comfortable.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know him like that. I just know it was 365 days for 4 years, right? So whatever that is, over 1,500 days. They probably only got Snoopy. Yeah. No, that was just Snoopy Badass trying to call me. But they probably only got like 15 to 20 days of conversations. So my whole point is, you never know. It's a lot of things that was said on the wiretap that they said over phones and stuff like that they don't have, that they think that they did have or don't know. It's just when you're out there doing stuff weekly, then generally they're gonna get lucky. And that's why I remember when I was a cop, I used to tell dudes, hey, y'all can get away with stuff 365 days, maybe 750 days or whatever. They only got to be right one time, one day. You just got to have one bad day to mess up your whole life.
Yeah. Message. You know what I'm saying? So, from what you've seen in the paper, I know you don't know him personally. We're not trying to bash him. You know what I'm saying? From what you've seen in the paper, do you think he got a fighting chance, or you think that's a closed door?
Generally, with the feds, they usually let you out, or you only beat them when they have technicalities. The one thing that makes me think that they rushed, because they started hearing people on the internet talking about that DNA and the murder case stuff, and they got scared, was because they didn't go to the grand jury. If you notice, everything was done by a complaint.
So when you say complaint, that means
usually when the feds get you, you've been indicted for like a month prior to they come kicking in your doors or whatever. They are like Diddy, you know, when he got indicted, they did it the day before the grand jury was over. Then they gave him like 2 or 3 days to surrender, and then they wouldn't pick him up.
Right.
My whole point that they usually take it to a grand jury before they indict or pick you up. They went by way of a complaint. Now, it could have been because they didn't want him scaring off the witnesses and stuff or get information to him. But that is very normally most people that you know was indicted by a grand jury when they got picked up by the feds. You very rarely hear of a complaint.
So in your expert opinion, what would you say would be a reason that they went in on him off of a complaint?
Oh, because people on the internet start talking about that DNA and stuff.
But what you think about 600 and them putting that out there like that?
They just trolling. Or they were looking out for the victims in their mind. When you got an enemy, you got to accept stuff like that, though. I mean, this is a guy that's talking about he want to go to the police academy and all of that, and he wired around with his badge and stuff. So you can't call him a gangster or a gang member. You just can't do it. Huh?
You think he a snitch?
What I want to tell you about snitches can't troll. What I mean by that, because if they know you're doing stuff or you're being a snitch or an informant, and then your handler find out that you're doing something like that, they're going to come down on you. So, no, I don't think so. That's what people always say. Oh, they knew they were about to get arrested and all that. There isn't any cops that are going to tell anybody when they're about to make an arrest. They very rarely tell the backup cops the day that they're going to do something or where they're going. Because if one of those cops get hurt, say if I knew, hey, Mr. Wright, tomorrow they coming to raid your house. And you like, what? I wish those niggas would. And you sitting at the front door with a shotgun waiting for them to come running through that door. and you blast their butt, like, fuck that, I ain't going down. And you blast them, shoot, man. The nigga that told them that going to jail too. That's why when you ever hear of those shootings at schools and all of that, who the first thing they go do? They go to the parents' house, go and see who gave them the guns, where they bought the guns, and get on the computers and what friends they was talking to. They want to know who knew about this and didn't warn us and tell us, hey, this nigga's crazy. This nigga talking about shooting up a school or whatever.
You want to hear something funny?
Go ahead.
The day before they got picked up, I was on the phone with Loose Cannon, and he was telling me his issue was with them was they was putting that out there, and that put the victim's family in danger.
He was straightforward about it.
And
he said put the victim or the suspect in danger.
Put the victim family.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And he was saying that he had his issue with Big Useless, as he put it. Not that I'm just about to quote him.
Yeah.
He said, I got my issues with Big
But
Useless.
I ain't no snitch. I don't believe in snitching.
He must have said the same shit to you.
I believe that.
And he felt like that was police games. You know what I'm saying? That's why I quoted him. It was his exact words. Police games. He called me while I was in the middle of recording. So it's on the content I was doing, but I never showed it to nobody or played it. I'm not. That's another thing. What do you think about all that phone boning they doing while they in the joint?
I think it's gonna come to bite him in the ass one day. I heard that his bail got denied today. He was confident yesterday that he was getting out, but guess what? The reason the person that was in the courtroom said that the judge pretty much denied the bail for. What you think they used against him?
The internet of that incident with the when he stripped dude.
The incident at No Jumper.
Was that a real incident, man? Because I don't know what be real and what be fake over there. My homeboy CC think everything out there is a act.
Well, a lot is trolling, but that wasn't trolling. Ain't no man gonna be a part of getting stripped down and get beat like those boys who got beat on. I think that ain't the last we heard of that. I think more people. You see how long they let Loose and Big U and all of them stay on the streets with cases that they knew about, the robbery and the dispensary. Right. I think it's another team that's going to be arrested in that situation that's going to be exposed.
The rest of America just thought y'all niggas out there could just do whatever.
They just wait. They just wait. Like I tell you, they'll give you a year or two to act a fool. Because they know once they come and get you, you're not going to be free for 20, 25 years.
Word. So, Dig, when I was asking you about Tupac coming to Death Row, I was kind of thinking about from the security aspect, right? Because this guy got all this controversy and shit going on. You the head of security. You're already fighting a murder trial. You know what I'm saying? Right. Did you have any concerns in that department? Not to mention, now you talk about a nigga that'll shoot at the police.
Yeah. I didn't realize, and we put Pac on a bigger pedestal now because of everything that we saw that he achieved and all of that. Mm-hmm. But Pac was just regular in 95, 96, 94.
I mean, not all the way. Me Against the World.
It was regular. LL Cool J had a hit. Julio had a hit. The Fugees had a hit. That was big, man. We done made him like Michael Jackson and all that in 2025. Pac was just a regular. As I told you earlier, Snoop was a bigger artist than Tupac in 95. Tupac took over in about after Hit 'Em Up and all of that, April, May, June of 96.
I don't think that's a fair assessment because Me Against the World was #1 from jail.
2 million album sales, dog. Just because that's you got to know when you got a #1 album. You could have a #1 album in January. Tupac was big, he was doing it, but you see his record label wasn't coming trying to get him out of prison.
Right.
Nobody was coming to try to get him out of prison. He was calling for commissary money.
Now hold on, Reg. That's a point of contention where people be getting it. I want to make sure I ask the right question with that. Because the rest of us think like Me Against the World to the rest of us outside of the business, outside of California, it was one of the biggest albums somebody ever did from jail, and one of the biggest albums.
Well, he didn't do it in jail. It was somebody from jail. Correct. I'm sorry.
He wasn't there to promote it, is what I'm saying.
Correct.
So I didn't know it only sold, but you saying by the time he got to y'all, it only sold 2 million.
It only had 2 million.
But 2 million was big. Only person sold.
That was a lot. Dog Pound sold 2 million at that time too.
You're right. With the dog food. Let's Play House. Okay,
Snoop had just sold 1 million in 1 week. 900,000 in 1 week.
And you was already with the company when
I wasn't there until Murder Was the Case.
Okay.
So that was like 95. 94 and 95 is when I came around. But we know what Doggy Style did. Doggy Style was, my point is, and I'm not trying to shit or hate on Tupac. I'm just trying to say he wasn't as big then as he is now.
Right. That's
we
why
put him on a bigger pedestal.
That's why I asked you that question, because I think that's a part where I had to confuse myself. But then to hear you say 2 million, and then to think about what DeathRow had did alone, forget everybody else. Because
Fugees, guess who beat him that year for MTV Music Award, best song of the year in rap?
Oh, the Fugees had did the 10.
No, Coolio, Gangsta Paradise.
Right. Okay. I'm getting where you go.
California Love. LL Cool J, Mr. Smith was running neck to neck with him at the time.
Okay. I got you. I see where you're going.
Fugees was the hottest thing in 90. You know, they wasn't a group, but they were the hottest thing in 96.
Yeah, they did they 10 million damn near out the gate. Yeah. Okay, I get where you're going with that. So with the Tupac thing, what do you because how you explained it like that in comparison to everybody else at that time, he hadn't hit that plateau yet.
At that time. I'm not saying he didn't. I'll never take that away from him now. I think he's the best rapper of all times. I don't compare anyone to him. You know, prior to this beef with Kendrick, I was loving what Drake was doing, and Sean and all of them. But who music travels? You go to a club right now, you know, you put that Tupac on. Only reason we throw Biggie on, no disrespect to the East or them, is because everybody we are trained and brainwashed. You talk about Tupac, you talk about Biggie. You play Tupac, you play Biggie. You play Biggie, you play Tupac.
But beefing with somebody automatically puts them on your level, kind of.
You bring people to your level, correct.
And then I don't really understand the comparison, because they two different kind of rappers.
Artists, yeah, rappers.